Do not know who I am. I'm Scott X. Esdale. I'm the state president of the Connecticut NAACP. I want to give greetings to each and every one of you on behalf of our National Board of Directors and also on behalf of the 2,200 branches and the 500,000 members worldwide. They all know what's going on here. They're excited about the work that's happening here, and we're excited about the support that you all have had for the Cox family. Let's give it up for the Cox family. For the Cox family, please stand up. Entire family, please stand up. Come on, y'all can do better than that. Thank you so much. We need your support. So with all NAACP events, we always open in prayer and we always close in prayer. For those that do not know about the organization, it was founded in 1909 and we're 113 years old. And we started striving to stop the lynchings that were going on in the South. The police brutality that was going on then and the police brutality that's going on now. And we will continue to fight for another 113 years. And that's why it's important for the young people to keep this banner going on. So let's give it to the young people also. So we're asking Pastor Tom Lewis to open us up in prayer. Will everyone please stand?
Let us just bow our heads. Father, we truly thank you for your strength and your power. We call you Father because you are the creator of us all. Father, thank you for allowing us to gather under these harsh circumstances so that we can come up with a strategic plan. Father, let us recognize the power of love that we have for one another, love that unifies us, that we may be able to say never again, that we may be able to say never again. Allow us, God, to never allow this to come to our city or nowhere else in this nation, God. Let this be the catalyst for change. Let us begin to strategize and move forward. Strengthen the NAACP. Strengthen these leaders that are here right now, these pastors and all of these organizations, that we may come together to make this change. Father, we love you, we honor you, and we trust you. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Let's give it up to Pastor John Lewis. Let's give it up for Attorney Ben Crump, who just walked in. All the way from Florida, you can do better than that. Tallahassee, I'm sorry. I don't want any beef up in here. I know there's some Tallahassee people up in here, so I apologize. I don't want no problems with you, neither attorney. God bless you. All right. Next, what we're going to do is have greetings from our Greater New Haven NAACP branch. If you're not a member of the New Haven branch, we'll ask you to become a member. Let's bring up Sister Dory Dumas.
Thank you, Brother Scott. Good evening. I bring greetings on behalf of the Greater New Haven NAACP. Our volunteers are here. Our board members are here. Like Scott said, if you're not a member, please see them. If you have moved in the last couple of years and need to update your voter registration, we're doing that tonight. We're always doing the work of civil rights, and this work is not easy. And I applaud our Attorney Crump for the work he does at the next level when it comes to civil rights and the law. It's not easy work. The struggle is real, and the struggle continues. We're here for very unfortunate circumstances. But before I say that, I also want to say how good it is to see our community come out. That's what it's going to take. I love seeing the young people, our seniors. We have community leaders. We have state representatives. We have grandmothers. We have brothers. We have moms. We have people here. And it takes all of us. We are the village. The work of the NAACP is grassroots. So we're the ones knocking on your doors, getting you to the polls. We're the ones fighting this fight when things come and you have discrimination for any reason on housing and jobs. That's the work of the NAACP. That's ongoing every day. So we need you to be with us. I appreciate so many calls came through. So many of you in different organizations called and said, we're gonna be there tonight. We're gonna send representatives. We're in this together. We are your village, Ms. Cox.
Yes.
Coleman.
Either one.
Okay. We're here tonight because we were saddened and sickened by the video and the treatment of Brother Randy Cox.
Yes, ma'am.
Like each of you, we were disgusted by that.
Yes.
Nothing about that is okay. It was inhumane. No matter what the situation is, you need to treat people with decency, with
Yes.
respect, and like they're human. It could be you, me, my son. My son's around that age. Any of us. So none of us really can walk around here, especially when you're in this black and brown skin, and feel like this cannot be you. So we have to come together. We can't keep talking about it. We gotta be about it. We are here to demand justice, accountability, transparency, and change, real change.
Yes.
Real change that comes from you voters. Real change that comes from you voters, because we vote these people in, and they're the ones that hiring people. So if you have something to say tonight, we want to hear from you. It's about the community giving you a voice. We stand with the Cox family, and we will stand with them, and we also will stand it even if they weren't here.
That's right.
But it takes all of us to make the difference. So become a member of the NAACP. We appreciate that. Support each other, but we need to hold them accountable all the way to the end. We just can't come out tonight. We appreciate Attorney Crump coming all the way here. And this is taking it to the national level. We have our state here, our state president, Scott X, and we have a lot of people involved. But those of us who live here, this is our neighborhood. This is on our watch. This is about us. So when you take all the fanfare away, it's our young people in these streets. It's our men, our women, because it's not just men that get this treatment. It's everybody. And it takes all of us to bring the change. And we need to let them know when we want to raise our voice around justice, equality, equity, access. And we talk about it, and we did a lot of work, especially after George Floyd, but clearly not enough, because what we don't want to hear is things that happen after the fact. We need to make sure policies, procedures, and things are being followed before these things happen to our young people, our old people, our people in our community. And we are talking about making sure that there's real accountability. We want a full investigation, and we want to make sure it's fair. We're going to be watching every step, and we are with you. We are praying for you. We're lifting you up as a family, because you are our family. We're your village. So thank you all for coming out. Let's not talk about it. Let's be about it. The work of the NAACP and civil rights.
Come on, we can do better than that. Next, we have another freedom fighter that's been fighting for many, many years in the greater New Haven community, across the state, and also across this nation. He is the lead attorney for the Connecticut NAACP. Let's bring up attorney Michael Jefferson.
Good evening. First, let me thank my friend, Brother Scott X, for his efforts across this state in fighting for justice for our people. Give him a round of applause. I want to thank my friend and frat brother, Attorney Benjamin Crump, for his efforts in fighting for justice for Black people. I want to recognize someone in the audience, my best friend, who last night was officially sanctioned as the incoming superintendent for Hamden School, first African American, Harry Eisen. New Haven's loss is Hamden's gain. Being that time is of the essence, I will keep my comments brief and to the point. Let me begin by sharing an open secret, if you will. there is a courtroom in GA 23, that's 121 Elm Street, downtown, the main courthouse for lower level crimes, the one right across from the Green. And upstairs on the 3rd floor, there's a place called Courtroom F. That's the courtroom where they deal with domestic violence cases. And I find it quite interesting because after a big weekend, a Super Bowl, holiday, or even St. Patrick's Day, the courtroom is filled, but it's filled with black and brown faces. Now, the interesting thing about it is that courthouse covers a jurisdiction that stretches from Bethany to Woodbridge, all of New Haven, and up to Madison, I believe. Now, one or two things is happening. Either white women are not being abused, or black and brown are the only abusers, right? What it tells me is that we are policed differently.
Yes, we are.
That's the deal. That's the bottom line. They go to a house in New Haven and the neighbor calls the cops for an argument.
Yep.
Not only do they arrest one of the participants, but if a child is crying or screaming, they charge them with risk of injury.
Yeah.
They go to a white couple's house in East Rock or the Annex, no one gets arrested. And DCF is never called on the case. We're policed differently in this society and across this country. When you look at the stolen cars, they charge the black kids with burglary third, which is a felony. Charge the white kids with criminal trespass, which is a misdemeanor. Or don't charge them at all. So the black kids are paying the price. We're policed differently. They know it. They take care of their friends. They take care of their family members. They know it.
We know it.
Look how they handle white killers of black people. Bordell and Ruth, Burger King. Payne Gendron didn't get shot and killed. We get killed over cigarettes. Right? Point number 2. Black life is devalued in American society.
Yes.
Mr. Cox's case is tragic, but not complicated. This would not have happened to a white man. We all know it.
Yes, we do.
Because white life is valued
Yes.
in America. And make no mistake about it, some people say, well, black people were involved too. Many black people have been conditioned not to value black life. And you should be sick and tired of putting black people in positions of power who don't value black people.
That's right.
Who serve as apologists for the system. You should be tired of it. In every facet of life, black life is devalued.
Yes.
In the medical field, it's devalued.
Yes.
Black newborns are more likely to survive during childbirth when cared for by black doctors. That's according to a study.
Mm-hmm.
In the United States, black babies die at 3 times the rate of white newborns during their initial hospital stays. That tells you what the deal is. Black life is devalued in American society.
Yeah.
The dominant culture, and this is point number 3, does not care about the welfare of black people. That's just the bottom line.
That's just the bottom line.
The white general public simply does not care about the welfare of black people. And if you don't know it, something's wrong with you. You need your head examined.
That's right.
They care about their welfare. I'm not talking about white individuals. There's plenty of decent white folks out there. We all know it. But white society in general does not care about black people. It's about time you know it.
That's right.
The mayor of this city defended the former police chief who was a supporter of the Blue Thin Line and Blue Lives Matter movement. He supported her, fought for her to stay in power. And that movement, which as far as I'm concerned is another arm or branch of the white supremacist movement in this country.
That's right.
And we all know.
Right.
So I question that commitment. She also had the audacity. Where's Jeanette Morrison? She's on the Board of Alders. March right in to the Board of Alders. This is what the last chief did with a row of white officers. Not one black officer, top officer in the ranks. She marched right on in there with them and thought that was all right. And the mayor, here's my point, defended that woman to remain the chief of police. They took a lawsuit to get her out of the seat. Goodbye and good riddance. I'm a little hot up here, but I'm okay. I'm a little hot up here, but I'm okay. It's incredible to me. This is why I tell you, white society doesn't care about the welfare of black people. How could you do that to us? Why would you put a person like that in charge of law enforcement, knowing the history of law enforcement between the black community and the police? Why would you do it? If white kids were suffering what we're going through, if their community was suffering what we're going through, it would never happen. So here's my final point.
Make it plain.
The key, if this society does not care about the general welfare of black people, and if we are devalued as human beings, and we are in this society, and if you believe as I do, that we should expect no revolutionary changes in the mindset of the dominant culture in the immediate future, then all we have left is to build mechanisms of accountability to hold these individuals accountable for their actions. And I'm talking about the police, I'm talking about prosecutors, and if necessary, the judges themselves. And the key to building these mechanisms, I'm talking to my brothers now. The key to building these mechanisms begins with our involvement in the political process.
Yes.
Black men represent a sleeping giant. We're a sleeping giant.
Yes.
When we decide to end the nightmare will end. It's up to us. When we decide to end it, it will end. And until we decide to do it, the nightmare will continue.
That's right.
I leave you with the words of admonition from the late, great writer, poet, and my frat brother Langston Hughes. He writes, Negroes, sweet and docile, meek, humble, and kind.
Yes.
Beware the day they change their mind. Wind in the cotton field, gentle breeze. Beware the hour, it uproots trees. Power to the people.
Power to the people.
That's my turn. Give it up to my turn. Attorney Michael Jackson. Come on, give it up to Jackson. That's my turn.
Can't wait to go to court with him, huh?
Yes. That's right.
We gotta do everything in decency and order, my brother. Everything. You're all right. I love the spirit. Yeah, listen. All I'm just saying. God bless you, brother. God bless you. I also wanted to acknowledge Senator Gary Winfield is in the house. Let's give him a round of applause. I'd now like to bring up a sister that has been working tirelessly on behalf of our communities for a very, very long time. She and I fight in Hartford together. And I'd like to bring, this actually happened in her district. So we're going to be bringing up State Representative Robin Porter. Let's give her a round of applause.
Act like he love me, but he really don't. He put me up behind Mike Jefferson. Really? And I mean, Mike has said everything that needs to be said, to be quite honest. I mean, there's no need in belaboring the issue. For all the black folks in the room, we know what time it is because we live in this skin. And it is what it is. And it ain't gonna change until we change it. The onus is on us. And it starts with us and it ends with us. And you know, Doreen, I got your back. Anything you need, you and the girls, your sons, the whole family. And that's extension. Let's extend that. We are all family. And it's
Yes.
time we start acting like it. Nothing like this should happen in our community. It should not be tolerated.
No.
And when it does, we need to show up like this and then some. Every single time.
Every single
There
time.
should be no exception. Because guess what? And I think Jacobson and assistant acting chief, yes, Kiddo, for being here. Because I've had conversations with them. And they know a change is coming. A change has to happen. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Because where we headed is a revolution. And this one would be televised. And that's not what we're looking for. But you can't keep doing what you've been doing to black people and think black people ain't gonna fight back in a way that sends a clear and resounding message that enough is enough. We've been saying it for a long time. But how many more? When I talked to Joy, the first thing I said to you, my son's 35. And let's dispel the myth, because I don't know how many people actually saw the press conference earlier, because I heard what came out initially, and I said, my son is 35, he has a felony, that could have been him. But I'm gonna set the record straight. My son does have a felony. But
Yep.
Doreen, Randy does not. So let's just clear the air on that, right? Because you always want to set the stage and start out with assassinating character and making it seem like what happened is somehow justified. There's no justification for what happened. And we talk about training, we talk about what we need to do. I'm gonna break it down. It's real simple. It's basic. It's not brain surgery. You treat people the way you want to be treated. Ain't that what we're taught growing up? It's training, all right. It's home training.
Home training.
It's home training that should come out into the streets and show up in our jobs, show up in the grocery stores, show up wherever we show up. We need to be treated like we're human. And Mike said it. We are devalued. We're not seen as human.
That's right.
We've done a lot of research around this stuff. Way back. And this country was built, the fabric of this country.
Yep.
This is what it's made of. And until we find people with real backbones that want to stand up, even when it means standing alone, ain't nothing going to change.
That's right.
And the leaders are going to have to lead by example. Because we learn through modeling. That's how we learn. We learn through modeling. So we got to model what is good, what is decent, and what is order. Because until we do that, we're going to continue to be treated like this.
That's right.
So it starts with us. Let's love one another. Get back to being a village. Get back to having a concern for one another. Know your neighbors. Know who your children and their neighbors are
Yes.
by name. If they're well. You know, back in the day, we checked up on people. Wasn't no such thing as having a need for nothing. Because if I didn't have eggs, Grandma said we had to go down the hall to Miss Joyce to get them. And if she needed $20 to the first of the month, guess what? She could go over to the Mexico building and get that too. That's what we got to get back to. And we got to get back to being a praying people. Because there's power in prayer. And if you believe that, I want you to leave here praying like you've never prayed before for Randy, for his mother, for his family. Because all the mothers in this room know, if it was your son, and I count him as mine, if he was your son, what would you want? What would you expect? And I say this to every single person in the city of New Haven, and I don't care what your job and your title is.
That's right.
If that was your child, and he was treated like that, your baby daughter, your baby boy, what would you expect? What level of accountability would you expect? And his sister, nobody said it better than Toya today. And that is what we're expecting. In a nutshell, it's called justice. But guess what? Justice is. It's love. When it shows up in public. And if some love had been shown and some care had been shown, none of us would be here today. Not a single one of us. And I wasn't able. I got as far as the wheelchair. I couldn't watch no more. I couldn't, and I won't. Because it don't take a video. I've seen enough of it to play over in my mind. I don't want to add Randy to that list. I don't. I choose to pray for him instead. But I want us all to know that this is a moment and we must keep the momentum going because we're good at showing up in the moment. But let's keep the momentum going so that this movement and this direction that we're headed in can actually be a concrete thing that changes the trajectory of our community and our families. Can't have strong communities without strong families, y'all. We gotta stick together. We got to. We don't have a choice. So I just want to thank you all for showing up. I'm gonna ask that you continue to show up because this is gonna be a long, long haul. And let me tell you, anything we're fighting for, and Randy is worth fighting for. It ain't gonna be easy.
Right.
It ain't gonna be easy, but I tell you what, we built for this. We built for this. And we're coming for justice, and we're not gonna rest until justice is served. And we're gonna make an example out of this so that going forward, all the other officers know this is not acceptable. This will not be tolerated. Will not. Will not. Will not.
So we have to remember very clearly that there's a man in the hospital right now fighting for his life. Fighting for his life. He has a broken neck, a broken spine.
Jesus Christ. Help me.
When he was arrested and was brought under the New Haven Police Department's custody, he could walk and he could talk. Now, he cannot walk and he cannot talk. Want to be clear with you. Want to be clear with you. So now it's extremely important to hear from the family. So you could understand exactly what's going on. And you could communicate with people in your communities, in your neighborhoods, and ask them to get active and get involved. And not ask for a change, but demand the change. Demand the change. So this particular young lady used to roll with me with the youth council of the NAACP. I'm going to bring Latoya up, but I also want to acknowledge Nikki too. These two used to roll with me all the time. Nikki, stand up. Latoya. Nika, I'm sorry. Nika. And also Latoya. Let's give them a round of applause. They've been in the fight for a long time. And they're still in the fight. So let's give it up to Latoya who's going to represent the Cox family. Come on up. Come on, y'all can do better than that for the family.
Hi, my name is Latoya Bloomer, Randy's sister. Yes, Randy's twin. I didn't really write anything for tonight, so I'm just kind of looking over my notes from earlier. And I'll kind of repeat what I said earlier. At any point in time, if someone is saying, help, I think my neck is broken. I can't move. How many times do they need to say it? I mean, I would think once is enough. It was actually acknowledged by the driver. So why didn't it stop there? And then once again, once he got to the police station, said it again. So when do you not think that he's joking or drunk or playing or pretending? When does it become, oh, maybe he's serious? I couldn't finish watching the video. It made me sick to my stomach. But from what other people said, there was actually other officers watching in disgust, but didn't say anything, didn't stop it, didn't intervene. But watching, they knew something was wrong. They could see, like, maybe something is wrong with him. You could see his head bobbing around. He just throwing him around, dragging him around, saying, oh, well, if you want to get on the bed, you get on there. He said he can't move plenty of times before. Who would still be joking at that point after you dragged him repeatedly, throwing him in the chair, jacking him up by his shirt? Who would still be joking, playing, pretending? A drunk person still would be able to kind of stand. I mean, I don't drink, but I've seen other people drunk. They can kind of, they have some type of strength in their legs. They might can't walk all the way, they'll stumble a little bit, but completely no control of their body. I have first aid training. So where's the, I don't know, where's the brains? That's what I want to say. Where's the brains?
That's right. That's right.
So please pray for my brother. That's pretty much all I want to say. You have anything to add? Okay, so this is my sister, LaQuavia Segret.
All right, so I just wanted to clear up the narrative that the police department reached out. That was after the fact. The hospital called my mother and said they needed consent for emergency surgery. They reached out hours after he was already in surgery. No one called her, no one said he needs to be transported to the hospital from the jail. No one said anything. It was after the fact. The hospital called. It doesn't matter what time. They called and woke her up off her sleep. They could have did the same thing. We have a situation. He has to be transported to the hospital. We'll figure out the rest and let you know. So that's just what I wanted to clear up. Thank you.
Let's give it up to the family. It's not easy getting up here. Come on, let's give them a- Guys did a great job. Great job. Excellent job. So I get the opportunity in my position with the NAACP. I'm also on the National Board of Directors, representing from Delaware to Maine. And on the National Board of Directors, I'm the National Criminal Justice Chair for the NAACP.
All right now.
So I get the chance to travel around the country and deal with a lot of issues around the country. So in Minneapolis with the George Floyd situation, I would go down there and represent the NAACP and work with the NAACP units and other incidents that happened across the country. And recently, I was just in Buffalo, New York, with Attorney Ben Crump on the situation where so many individuals were slaughtered in a grocery store that you all pretty much know about. Then I received a phone call from LaToya about an incident that occurred in New Haven, my hometown, in New Hallville, where I was born, to find out that an incident similar to the situation that we worked on with Freddie Gray in Baltimore. So many similarities in this particular situation. So many riots and so many burning of buildings that have taken place over the Freddie Gray situation. So the police departments had the opportunity to get their act in order to prevent a situation to happen like that in their city. New Haven New Haven Police Department. When George Floyd situation took place, riots all over the country. In New Haven, they were shutting down highways, striving to try to burn down the New Haven Police Department. They were going to the mayor's house, protesting. There was opportunity to get protocols in order. There was opportunity. That's why we know that there's a culture in policing. A culture in policing that does not value Black people and treats Black people less than animals. And we're not tolerating listening to, we're gonna get new seatbelts. We're not gonna listen to plans that now we're gonna get new vans. We're not gonna listen to situations or strategies that don't make any sense to us. We need a comprehensive, concrete plan that changes the conditions of how you treat Black people and other people all throughout the city and be an example for other cities across the country. I want to let you all know that we're not shaking in our boots. We demand it. We demand it. So we brought a freedom fighter. One of the baddest in the nation.
Yes.
The baddest in the nation.
The baddest.
Who fights for our people all over this country.
Yes.
He came to New Haven. Not just to go into the court, but also to come out to the community and hear the people's voice.
Yes.
To listen to the people. To get active with the people. We're not going to strive just to make some noise. We're going to get justice, y'all.
Yes.
We're going to get justice. So we need to bring up our brother, Attorney Ben Crump, like we should do, with a round of applause from the New Haven community to let us know Justice for Randy Cox.
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 Like y'all mean it. Justice
For Randy Cox.
Justice for Randy Cox. Do me a favor if you would. See, Miss Doreen, she expressed at the press conference that Randy was her baby boy. And with my great co-counsels who are working with us, we got to visit the hospital and I got to meet Randy for the first time today. And it was, to say emotional would be an understatement. Because Randy understood what situation he was facing. And even though he can hardly move anything from his chest down, maybe his left shoulder is the most they can get out of him. He could communicate by blinking his eyes and moving his head, and most sadly, by crying tears. And he must have cried 10 times while we were there, as we talked about what we were trying to do for him. And I just kept looking at Miss Doreen, wiping the tears away from her son's eyes, because he can't even do anything, not even wipe the tears for his face. So before I began my interaction and thank our national leader, Scott, appropriately, I want you all to stand to your feet so Ms. Doreen know that you all are with her. Justice for Randy Cox!
Justice for Randy Cox.
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 Thank you. Thank you. Because as Scott said, we've been on many of these journeys to justice. And even though there's a lot of cameras and a lot of attention now, there's going to come a time when the media won't care about this paralyzed young black man.
You better say it.
And we have to let Miss Doreen and Latoya and Quay, everybody know that they're not alone. I mean, when you think about when a person is paralyzed, in many ways, it is just as bad as death.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a very difficult life.
I mean, he's 36 years old. He has so much more of his life ahead of him. And yet he's gonna be like a baby where somebody has to wait on him hand and foot for his every need. And so that's what they're facing, y'all. And it's not right, it's not fair, and it is unacceptable what happened at the hands of the New Haven Police Department. But more on that later. Y'all, indulge me just for a minute to recognize this freedom fighter, Scott X style. Y'all just don't know how respected Scott is around the country. I mean, in the civil rights community, he's that brother who everybody turns to see what Scott thinks. And I know when you're home, you don't always get the respect that you get when you're elsewhere. So I want y'all to give Scott the respect he deserves. Yeah. Scott is that guy who everybody else called not from New Haven when they get in trouble. So I'm happy to see, Madam President, that y'all calling on Scott too, because he will answer the bell. And to Madam President, we salute you for your leadership, your great leadership. And absolutely to Robin Porter. Because Jack, I don't know how it's gonna happen, but I know Robin ain't gonna let them forget in the state legislature what happened in her district here in New Haven. Ain't you, Robin? So I suspect, Luke, we may be having some hearings, and that's important because we gotta make sure that not just in the community they said justice for Randy Cox, but we got to make sure they're saying it in the State House, in the governor's mansion, at the Department of Justice, and at the White House. We got to be on every level. And I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge my fraternity brother, a great lawyer who is fighting in courtrooms for people's liberty. A lot of y'all who get wrongly accused, he answers the bell. So I want to give it up for Michael Jefferson. Who ain't gonna ever hold his tongue. But y'all know that already. And then this great legal team that we have assembled for Miss Doreen's baby boy. Lou Rubano. Some of y'all can come up and join me. R.J. Weber. And Jack O'Donnell. Jack say he been practicing for 42 years, but I told him, hey man, you don't look that old. So great leader today, and my law partner, Chris O'Neill. I don't know where Chris O'Neill is at. Where Chris O'Neill? Where Chris O'Neill? And attorney Mike Jefferson. Come up and join us, Mike.
Hi, to whoever yelled out, where's the black attorneys? Every attorney here is who I called. I got their phone numbers. I got contact with them. Nobody made this up. They didn't come here on their own. They came because I called them.
Thank you, LaToya, for setting us straight. And the reality is this, y'all. We're going to need all of us coming together to get justice. This is about holding people accountable, and I want to believe in my heart that there are going to be a lot of allies that don't look like us, that's gonna help us get justice. So Randy It happened in George Floyd.
Yeah.
It happened in Ahmaud Arbery.
Yes.
It was black brothers and sisters, white brothers and sisters, brown brothers and sisters saying that we demand justice. We demand accountability. And most of all, we demand humanity for all of our children. All of our children now. And so I would tell you all this. When LaToya and her brother reached out to me, and then I got to talk to Jack O'Donnell, who have been the longtime family attorney, who I understand has fought for many people in the community. The one thing that made me stop in my tracks was that video really shocks your conscience. I mean, it really shocks your conscience when you see, and I'm sorry, Mr. Arena, I'm just trying to make the case. When you see him slide down that bench and you hear his head go, and you know that this is serious. And then for that police officer who was driving the paddy wagon, and I don't understand why you driving fast, why you not being very careful. You know you got an unrestrained handcuffed young man in the back of your car, and any sudden movement is foreseeable could lead to catastrophic injury. And so, well, yeah, let's verify all the evidence. We don't want them to have us saying stuff and then they can prove it wrong. So what we're gonna do always is try to have all the evidence sound and secure, because that's what we owe to this family. To make sure when we speak truth to power. Okay? Yeah, and I think that may. Hey, let's do this here. Let me finish and then I'll let you come and make a case. All right? So we were talking about the similarities to Freddie Gray, but the one thing I just want to express to you is that it shocks the conscience, because even when the officer went back there after he stopped the car, Scott, he said, you know, what happened? And Randy told him, I fall. It was very clear. And I can't move my arms. Why don't they believe us when we tell them we're injured? When we tell them that they brutalized us? You know, they didn't believe George Floyd when he said, I can't breathe 28 times. They didn't believe Eric Gardner when he said, I can't breathe 19 times. And they didn't believe Randy Cox here in New Haven when he said, I can't move my arms. And then subsequent, instead of getting the EMS there on the scene, we all saw the video, they drove back to the detention center, and then they didn't believe him then when he said, I think my neck is broken. Now, how serious is that? When you tell an officer, I think my neck is broken, and they just disregard it. They mock him. Oh, you can get up. You're not even trying. I mean, where's the humanity? Where's the professionalism? Where's the training? You know, why is it a different set of policing that you give to the black community versus what you give to the white community? Thank God we had the video.
Thank God for the video.
Because like Freddie Gray, I do believe it was a rough ride. They gonna try to justify it, but they cannot say it wasn't a rough ride because LaToya and Quay's brother went into that police paddy wagon, walking and talking and breathing on his own. And he came out that paddy wagon unable to speak, unable to walk, and unable to move. And you can't tell us that that wasn't a rough ride. And so you look at that and you say, well, my conscience is shocked when I see it. I think most good people who look at that video, their conscience is shocked. The question is, why aren't the police officers shocked? I mean, think about it. They take them out feet first. Mike, they're exacerbating the injuries. And then they throw him into the wheelchair. And y'all see how his body kind of falls like a limp dog? And then after he's in the chair, inexplicably, after they mock him some more,
That's what they did.
they then take him out the chair and they drag him on the floor by his shoulders, and y'all know the shoulders connected right there to the neck, and his head is slung over, and they put him in the jail cell. And to add insult to injury, they then shackle his ankles. I mean, a man who is obviously immobile. I mean, it is very difficult to watch that video. And we have to keep showing the world that video, because if we don't show it to them, it's like when maybe Till Mosley kept the casket open for Emmett Till. They got to see that Randy Cox is just not a hashtag. He's not just a cause. He's not just a case. But Randy Cox is real. And his life matters. And if we don't keep showing that video, they will try to sweep it under the rug. Lou, they will try to assassinate his character. I was very happy when at the press conference today, Jack reminded them that we've seen reports in the press that they say he is a convicted felon. That is not true. They're so quick to try to get that scarlet letter on our people, call us a convicted felon. He is not a convicted felon. But even if he was, one of the hundreds of thousands of brothers who they give trumped up charges to and label convicted felons, even if he was he not worthy of humanity? Would you? I mean, you would treat a dog better than they treated Randy Cox.
They throw you in jail for treating dogs like that.
And so that's what our fight is, y'all. Our fight, and it's all, we all in this fight together. The community fighting in the court of public opinion, our legal team fighting in the court of law, the state lawmakers fighting in the state legislature, and our national civil rights leaders like Scott fighting on the nation's stage to say that the constitutional rights apply to Randy Cox. You cannot deny him reasonable medical assistance that is obvious. It was obvious. You cannot just have deliberate indifference when it comes to Black people because you think they're irrelevant. You think we're inferior. You think we're insignificant. Well, I'll tell you this. Thank God the video cop how you really felt about Randy Cox. Because we're going to make sure you can't change those feelings now just because you got caught with your hand in the cookie jar. No, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And y'all, I just know if we don't fight the fight, then there will be no justice for Randy.
No.
We got to get whole justice, full justice, not just partial justice. We want there to be criminal accountability. Just like if it were you or I who did those things, we would be held criminally accountable. We want to make sure that the city leadership, and I understand, Scott, when you say, Mr. Mayor, it's not enough to say we're going to bring in new recruits.
Oh, Lord.
Because it really is about the culture of policing.
That's right.
I mean, the culture was on full display when Randy said, I think I broke my neck, and they didn't seem to give a damn. And so when you have the supervisors, people who are in authority over the driver, saying that there's nothing wrong with him, he's not even trying, he's just drunk. I don't care if he said my neck is, his neck, he thinks it's broke. They didn't even care. And so it's a cultural issue that we got to deal with. We got to deal with the systemic racism and implicit bias that exists in the police department. And if you thought that you didn't have it, I just say, go back and look at the video. You don't need to say no more, just go look at the video. If you want to see the issue. So we have to make sure the city leadership rights this wrong done to Ms. Doreen's baby boy, because he's going to need a lot of quality medical care for the rest of his life. So we do intend to make sure he gets complete civil justice as well.
That's
So
right.
for criminal justice.
That's right.
And then finally, which is always the biggest aspect of it, it is the policy changes. The policy changes so we can try to prevent this from happening to your son or your daughter. And I thought, I don't know if it was Luke or Jack, they said something deep when we were in the hospital talking with Randy. We talked about legislation, Senator Porter. I'm sorry, Representative Porter. You need to be a senator.
That's right. All right. We received that, Senator Porter.
This is deep, Mike. Jack said they have been fighting for medical Miranda requirements. You see, Jack and Mike, they do criminal law, and so they understand how important Miranda rights are. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. Well, and I make sure I get this right, Jack. It was medical Miranda requirements. That when a citizen says that I feel I am injured, that the police can't just discount them, that the police has to get a medical personnel to examine and review the person to make sure that if they say their neck might be broken, that it ain't broken. Because if not, we will have more Randy Cox. We will have more George Floyd. We will have more Eric Gardners. We will have more Breonna Taylors. We will have more Ezel Fords. We will have more Stephon Clarks. We will have more Terrence Crutches. We'll have more Walter Scotts. We'll have more
Trayvon Martin. The list goes on.
too many names.
Too many names.
Too many names.
Trayvon Martin.
Too many names. And so this legislation we think should be called the Randy Cox Law.
Yes.
And Scott, once it gets passed in New Haven City Council and Representative Porter, once it gets passed in the state of Connecticut, then that can be the foundation where just like George Floyd laws have been passed in over 150 cities across America, and Breonna Taylor laws have been passed in over 40 cities and states across America, LaToya Quay and Ms. Doreen, we can have Randy Cox law passed in cities all across America. Because in conclusion, y'all, we acknowledge what Martin Luther King said. He said, the coward will ask the question, is it safe? He said expediency will ask the question, is it politically correct? He said, oh, vanity will come along and ask the question, is it popular? But then Dr. King said, conscience comes along and asks the question, is it right? And Dr. King said, there comes a time when one must take a position that's neither popular nor politically correct or not even safe. But he said there comes a time when one must take a position because their conscience tells them it's the right thing to do. I submit to you all here in New Haven, it is the right thing to do. To stand up for justice for Randy Cox. To speak up for justice for Randy Cox. To fight for justice for Randy Cox. We have to fight for justice for our children. Because if we don't fight for justice for our children, we can't expect nobody else to fight for justice for our children. And we have to fight for justice for our children until hell freezes over.
That's right.
And then we have to be ready to fight on the ice.
That's right.
Because that's how important justice for our children, justice for our community, justice for our people have to be. We cannot have any of our children look and say, do you really believe Black Lives Matter? No, no. Our actions should show it over and over again. So will you all join us in fighting for justice for Randy Cox? This here is Doreen's baby. But by the grace of God, it could have been any one of your children.
That's right.
This is about justice for our children. All of our children matter.
Scary thought.
All of our children are entitled to the American promise of life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. You see, we have to make them not just recite the Declaration of Independence. We have to make them make it real when they say we hold these truths as self-evident that all men are created equally, that they're endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that amongst them are life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. Well, that means black people too. That means brown people too. That means red people too. That means LGBTQ people too. That means all of us, now. All of us have humanity. And now more than ever, when we see this race replacement theory, I mean, this white supremacy at an all-time high in America. Scott told you where we were at earlier this month, where 10 innocent black people were slaughtered because this young white man, he wasn't a boy, went in there and said he wanted to kill as many black people as possible. Well, yeah, it's that kind of bigotry and racism that is clear. But there are other types of biases that are more subtle. Like when a black man says, I think my neck is broke, and the police look the other way. Because life is precious no matter what.
Yes.
And I think about the life before Randy Cox, and it renews, I mean, it just puts blood rushing through my body while we can't sleep. We gotta stay woke until we get justice for Randy Cox.
That's right.
Y'all let Miss Doreen know again what we gonna do. Justice for Randy Cox!
Justice for Randy Cox! Justice for Randy Cox! Justice for Randy Cox! Justice for Randy Cox! Justice for Randy Cox!
Thank you. Thank you all. Scott,
Come on, let's give it up for Penny Bank Truck one more time. Come on, y'all can do better than this. Justice for Randy Cox. Justice for Randy Cox.
Justice for Randy Cox!
Justice for Randy Cox.
Justice for Randy Cox!
Give yourselves a round of applause. All right, y'all. I do have a notice that we have to be out of here by 8:30. All right. Let's give a round of applause to the librarian. To our librarian, Miss Diane Brown. Come on up here, Diane. This is Soul Sister number 1. Right here at the Stetson Library for so long. Let's give her a round of applause once again. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. We really want to do it in another place. Thank you so much. The hospitality has been second to none. All right, I have one more person that I have to call up, and then we're going to open up for public comment. We have to no longer than 2 minutes, all right? Because we got to make sure that we get as many people to speak as possible, all right? And listen, this is not a moment. This is a movement. Say this again. This is not a moment. This is a movement, all right? So this is not the last time we're going to do this. So make sure you sign the sheets. Make sure that we continue to organize, mobilize, and galvanize so we can push forward and make sure that we get justice, not only for this family, but for all the families that are out there, all right? All right, y'all with me?
Yes.
All right, so I just want to bring on this particular brother because he is an alderman in this particular district. I know he's going to acknowledge the other aldermen that are here also. This actually happened in his district. So if we could bring up Alderman Devin Smith to come say a few words. Come on, let's give it up for the finalists.
First, I want to give honor and glory to God and
That's right.
love towards the Cox family. I want to acknowledge the alders that are here who came to show their support. I see former Honorable Alder Elfrida Edwards, Lead Alder Kim Edwards is here, Lead Alder Jeanette Morrison is here. Kim Edwards. I'll be brief. And just really speak to what I know about Randy. This incident occurred while he was apprehended from Lilac Street, and Lilac Street had an excellent block party that day. Randy played a huge part in making sure that that block party was a success. And the residents of Lilac Street will attest to that. I was there and it was a great time. Every time I come to Lilac Street, I see Randy there. And he's one of many people who point things out to me like, hey, that lot needs to be cleaned. Or I noticed that street light is out. And generally is friendly, helpful, and informative. That means a lot to someone who is a local level an elected official, because without hearing from the people, we don't know what to do. So I value Randy, and we should all value his life.
Yes.
I'm heartbroken. You know, this weighs heavy on me, and I know it weighs heavy on everybody else in the Board of Alders. But just like we've heard the folks talking here today, this is going to require all of us to come together. And we're going to have to sustain this energy as well. We can't just do it one time. It takes a commitment to one another. And I implore you, we got to get into some good trouble. I ask you, hold me accountable. You got my phone, and most of you have my phone to call me. You should be knowing what's going on. And I also encourage you, because I know I'm not everybody's alder here, call your alders, email your alders. Where do they stand on this issue? A statement was issued by the Board of Alders letting you know that we're disheartened. But engage your elected officials, hold our feet to the fire until justice is done. So God bless you all. Thank you for hearing me out.
Let's give it up to the young freedom fighters.
So I received a call from the assistant police chief. And he asked if he could say a few words, and I told him that he could. And I want to make sure that my word is honorable. So I would like to bring Assistant Chief, Mr. Jacobson, up to the front to speak. Let's give him a round of applause.
This isn't a proud moment for me or the police department. We're all disheartened by what happened, and I want justice for Randy as well.
All right.
We are gonna work hard to make changes. I didn't watch the video once, I didn't watch it twice, I watched it 20 times to remind me what I have to do with this police department and the changes I have to make. Because we do have good cops, but somebody gotta say something. And we're gonna let the state police do we're gonna let the.
Excuse me, sir. 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 All we're gonna do is respect one another.
That's right.
You don't have to agree, but we have to respect one another. Hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. No, we good. We good. Everybody's good. Everybody's good. It's all family here. Y'all my family. We just gotta be respectful. That's all. I gave him my word that I let him speak.
That's right.
Whether you agree with it or not, let's hear it. We demand the plan. We demand a culture change. But be respectful and listen.
That's right. That's right.
The action happens after this.
That's right.
If we don't like what we hear, we go to action.
That's right.
Ain't about talking no more.
Exactly.
All right, so let's listen.
That's right. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. So I watched it several times because I don't want to forget what happened.
Yeah.
And I want this community to know that we're gonna do everything possible to get Randy justice. And we are praying for his health.
Recovery.
And recovery, yes. And you know, this is a big task. I've been put up by the mayor to be the police chief. And I've asked myself many times, why is this going on? What's going on? Because change needs to happen. And I'm the person to help with that change. It's not just training, it's leadership. I'm gonna be out on the street and I'm gonna hold my officers accountable. And those good officers, the good officers, which is most of them, are gonna know that they can say, hey, he's hurt. Get him help. And when I watch that over and over again, that's what I think. As I was watching in the beginning, please, someone just get this man help.
Yes.
So we're gonna work very hard. We're gonna let the state police do what the state police have to do in the criminal side. Then it'll come back to us. And if they don't do what needs to be done, we have an internal affairs investigation. And we'll do what needs to be done. And we need to regain the trust of the community.
Yes.
When I started this journey as becoming the next police chief, I said that we need to have legitimacy and by procedural justice. And the first thing is give people a voice. We didn't give Randy a voice that night. And the second thing is treatment with dignity.
Yes. Yes.
The third thing is equality in decision making, meaning if I go somewhere, I listen to both sides, no matter who it is. And the fourth thing is build trust. And don't go by my words, go by my actions in the next days, weeks, months, and years. Because I won't remember that, I won't forget this night. That's why I came. And I thank you all for being here. Because I won't forget this night, and I won't forget this community, because I'm being asked to be your chief. We will treat people in this community better, or they won't be police officers. And I just want to close with saying, I pray for Randy every day, sometimes every couple hours, and I hope he heals. Thank you.
What's your question, brother?
First, I want to know, because justice for Randy Cox, but why is these officers still getting paid?
All right, now let me explain the process. Let me explain the process. Let me explain something to you. Because you have to be knowledgeable of the process. Hold on, wait, listen now. Because I think Attorney Michael Jefferson has trained me well in this. So listen, see how I do. I'm trying to get an A+, counsel. So this is the way it goes, according to the collective bargaining agreement. All right? So the officers have an agreement with the city or with the police commissioners, right? And in that agreement, first you would have to be suspended for at least 15 days. Once you get suspended for 15 days, now you will go up before the police commission. Only the chief is the individual that can do the suspension. The police commission is the only entity that could actually fire a police officer. Am I right? So, I didn't know what that was. But my Spanish brother. Okay, accountability. My man, say that again. That's right. Give my man a round of applause. My brother. Thanks for the help, sis. All right, we're a team here. We're all family. So that's the actual process. And we may have to change that particular process. But that's the agreement that they have. Now, it's extremely important that if you don't like that process, it's extremely important that we fight to change that process. All right? So they just can't fire a person directly under their collective bargaining agreement. There's a process that they have to go through. So the investigation's not going to happen local. The state is going to do the investigation. Then they bring that investigation back to the chief, and then the chief has to make a decision of what the suspension will be, and if it will be brought before the police commission. That's why we got to keep our eyes on the police commission also. It's very important that we're all educated on the process. How'd I do, Counselor?
Right.
Did I get A+? Thank you. So listen, I gotta move on. All right? Now I'm gonna give an opportunity for the mayor to speak. Because he's the boss. He's the boss. So Mayor, you have the opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here and for advocating for justice for Randy. Ms. Doreen, we've talked a number of times, and I'm sorry for what happened to your son. I'm sorry for what happened to your son. I have 2 babies of my own, and
When you say apologize, not sorry.
I apologize for what happened to your son. I got 2 babies of my own, and I can't imagine what you're going through. I can't imagine what you're going through. We're doing everything that we are trying to do. We're trying to follow our hearts. We're trying to do what's right. And we're looking for you all for guidance. I came here to listen more than to speak because I think that some of us could do a lot more listening than talking. But we're going to do everything possible, whether it's putting out the video as early as possible, putting those officers on leave, ensuring that the state is doing a criminal investigation and doing our own IA investigation. We're committed to justice for Randy. And I say that as the mayor of the city. Randy was a resident. He is a resident of the city. I'm his mayor, just like I'm mayor for almost everyone in this room. And no matter what someone did or didn't do, it doesn't make a difference. Once they're in police custody, we owe the person respect, and we owe that person safety. And we did not accomplish that in this incident. We will do everything that we can, and I know you see Assistant Chief Jacobson, who I hope will soon be Chief Jacobson, Acting Chief Rush Kittle. We've talked many, many times to make sure that we're doing this the right way to ensure justice. We're committed to doing that, and we're open. We've talked more about policies that we can do. We're trying hard. We've done a lot since George Floyd's murder, but we got clearly a lot more work to do. A lot more work to do. We're committed to doing that. Thank you.
Thank you, man, for coming out. All right, so now I'll give you the opportunity for one question. Brother. Yes, sir. No, I got the mic. I got the mic. Doug, go ahead, brother.
I would like to ask you, we should have a police chief of color. We communicate in our area of color. You have took
I don't finish. He has a right to his voice.
You have took all the police chiefs, all the assistants from East Haven, okay? They all come from East Haven. And you also have another assistant.
Get to the question, brother. Get to the question.
You need to put a police chief of color. You need to put a lot of people of color.
Is that a comment or a question?
So you need to get rid of all those police chiefs that you have, and all those assistants, all those people there, because you know they're corrupt. You know they are very corrupt. We know that.
That's a comment. All right. Brother. You want us to respond? Hold tight.
Yeah, so
Hold tight.
we absolutely need more people of color from New Haven in our police department, in the entry-level ranks and in the highest ranks. We got to have the right person for the job, and I believe Assistant Chief Jacobson is the right person for the job.
That's the answer to the question. Listen, I'm gonna take two more questions, and I gotta move on. Right? I got you. Man. Come up here. Come on, I'm gonna give you the mic. Come on. You got a question, man?
If and when the state's attorney makes a decision, God forbid if they clear these officers, God forbid if the internal affairs clears these officers, will you ensure that these officers get fired?
Listen, everybody listen. Listen, you gotta listen.
We're committed to doing the right thing. We have fired other officers that have not done the right thing over the last 2.5 years that I have been there. We're committed to doing the right thing, but we live in a system where people have rights, and we have to see this process through. I don't blame the family for being angry and frustrated and wanting justice right now. I watched what you said today, and I don't blame you for that. But we have to follow the process. We have to follow the process. I'm committed to doing the right thing, and these folks here are committed to doing the right thing.
That's the answer to the question. Now we're gonna move on. Listen. We're not gonna go back and forth with the mayor. We're gonna get back to our thing, all right? Do you have a question for Attorney Ben Crump or the family or anything like that?
Well, Mayor and whoever can answer it.
Go ahead,
Mayor Ellicott said that this
gentleman was the right man for the job. I want to know what about him makes him the right man for the job. That you say he's the right man, tell me something that qualifies him to be the right man.
Assistant Chief Jacobson is one of the most genuine people I've ever met in my life. He had his hearing for his confirmation 2 days ago?
Last night.
Last night. And there were so many people from the community, many people of color that showed up, people that have deep roots in this community because they believe the same thing. That he shows up, when I call him and say we had a homicide, he and I are on the scene. When I call him and say we had a shooting somewhere, he and I are on the scene. He shows up to funerals, he shows up to the wakes, and it's not because he's there or the cameras aren't there. He's there because he deeply believes in this community. He's the right person for the job.
Okay, listen. This is not. Listen to this. Listen to this. Listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me. Hold up. Yo. I got it. Listen up. Hey, brother. We're getting to the point where we're being very disrespectful.
Let's respect the Cox
And
family.
I demand that you respect the family.
Yes.
We're in a crisis right now, and we don't need chaos and dysfunction right now. Now, this is not a police chief meeting. This is about the family. Let's get that focus on the family. Whatever political agenda people have is cool. But this is about the family right now. Let's stay focused, all right? We're gonna get back to the family and this particular situation, all right? No more police chief questions. That could be another meeting, and that's an important meeting. Don't get me right. Once again, this is not a moment, this is a movement, all right? But right now, we're focused on the family. Go ahead, sis, please stand up. Do you have a question?
Yes, I have a question.
Speak up.
Toya said earlier at the press conference that she wanted the officers fired. My question is for, I think, Mr. Jefferson and Mr. Crump. Fired does not mean they can't work in the police department in another town.
Right.
What and how long do you have the authority for decertification? That's right. Of these officers? Because we don't
Good
want
question.
them fired. They're kind of a family member only.
That's my question.
We don't want them
Can you pass it
fired.
down? Roger.
The difference between being fired and being decertified.
We got the question, sis.
That's good.
Regina Ross Kittle, the acting police chief. If the officers are fired in Connecticut, we have the ability to do paperwork and send it up to post in Meriden, and they can be decertified as police officers. And that will follow them for the rest of, they will not have a career because they are decertified. And that's under the police accountability bill.
Okay, is that just Connecticut?
Let's not go back and forth. I got a bunch of.
I want to add one more.
Okay, sir.
I respect your response, but will this be something that goes into the arbitration process? That this is what can happen. We're not gonna slap you and fire you so you can go to Bridgeport. We wanna make sure that you don't take what you did to my nephew in New Haven and end up in Bridgeport.
If you're decertified, you cannot be a police officer again.
Listen, once again, that's the answer to the question. All right, I'm gonna move on. Shirley, and then I got one more after you, then we're done.
Me since the incident. So we are required to have seatbelts in our cars. We get tickets for not seatbelts. So the thing that's been bothering me so badly, and as an elected official, and I know there's some other elected officials in the room, but I never knew that my New Haven Police Department had transport vehicles that did not have seatbelts. So my attorney's in the room. Right, because I mean that's just for me. That was just totally breaking the law. What does that mean relative to this incident and getting justice for this young man, because seatbelts are required for all of us.
Good question, Shirley. Come on, Mike. All right, good. Come on up, Mike. Hey, because I do want everybody to see our legal team, because a lot of times they just say Dan Crump, but it's always a team effort. And Chris O'Neill is my law partner who flew up with me. He was a police officer for 10 years before he went to law school to do civil rights work. And that's important, y'all, that we have people who understand very practical questions that need practical answers. I do believe, and certainly we will learn more, but I thought that it was foreseeable that if you put people in a paddy wagon without seatbelts, that somebody's going to be injured. Yeah, and I think that, you know, they teach us in first year law school, they say notice is 2/3 of the law. Because once you know about something, then you have to do something about it. Well, we found out with Freddie Gray, if we didn't know before in 2015, that if you're in a paddy wagon and you're unrestrained, serious things can happen, like your neck being snapped in two. And so it is something we have to deal with. And I can respect the mayor, the police chief, and the acting police chief for being here, because those are questions that they have to answer to your satisfaction, because they work for you. They are public servants. And that is something we will be asking to the city leadership, that, you know, even though I think the officers had many missteps, but even before that, not having seatbelts in the paddy wagon told us that something bad was very likely to happen. Yeah. Hopefully that will be addressed. The Randy Cox law hopefully will encompass many things. And we're going to look to the aldermen and the leadership to give us the Randy Cox law. And you know who's going to write the Randy Cox law? All of y'all. Amen? Last question. Speak up loud. Reese.
That we love y'all, Randy is our friend. He hangs with us every day. We all my life back here, and we are with you. And we will
Will everyone please stand as we close out the prayer? Is Reverend Donald Morrison? You love?
Reverend Bertha Jones is here.
We'll close out in prayer. Everyone please stand.
Father, thank you for this moment and strengthening each and every one of us. Thank you for strengthening the Cox family, letting them know that we are with them every step of the way. Let this not be a moment, but a movement. Let it resonate in our hearts as we leave this place, but never your presence. Protect us as we go home to our places where we dwell, Lord. Father, continue on to let us understand the power of our love and the power of our unity, that we will never, ever, ever let this happen again. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Everyone, please get home safe. Everyone, please get home safe. Make sure that you sign the book so we can continue to communicate with you. If you're not a member of the NAACP, please become a member of the NAACP. And please continue to pray for the family.
So good.